Subscribe to my channel for more stories. Now, let's begin this one. The sickly yellow glow of the ER lights seemed to amplify the cold dread in my stomach as I pushed through the double doors at 1:42 a.m. My father, Marcus Thorne, a man who'd faced down market crashes and corporate sharks without a flinch for 50 years, lay pale and still. His face was a grotesque mask, jaw askew, a deep gash near his temple oozing crimson. "Mr. Thorne?" The nurse's gentle voice pulled me from the abyss of my shock. "Your father just regained consciousness. He's been asking for you." I moved to his bedside, my worn leather shoes making no sound on the sterile tile. Dad's eyes, usually sharp and full of a keen, knowing light, fluttered open. They fixed on me, a desperate plea in their depths. "Son," he rasped, his voice a gravelly, barely audible whisper through clenched teeth. "It wasn't an accident, not the stairs." The world spun. My father, who'd supposedly fallen down the grand staircase of his own mansion. The official story. The story I'd believed. "What happened, Dad?" I kept my voice low, steady, but a cold tendril of fear began to coil in my gut. "The will. She found it." He struggled for breath, each word a monumental effort. "The new one. Cutting her out." Her. Only one person that could mean. Eleanor, my stepmother. The woman who'd married my father barely 2 years ago, a whirlwind romance after my mother's long illness. She pushed me," he whispered, a tear tracking a path through the grime on his cheek. Said she needed the estate for her debts. Had a man with her. Big, quiet. My blood ran cold. Eleanor. Sweet, demure Eleanor. The woman who'd clung to me for comfort just hours ago, weeping about Dad's unfortunate accident. The same woman who was now probably back at the mansion playing the grieving widow. My mind, honed by years as an investigative journalist, immediately shifted into crisis mode. Emotional suppression, data collection, threat assessment. "Dad, where's the will? The new one?" My voice was a razor's edge. He managed a faint, grim smile. "Smart boy. Hidden. In the old grandfather clock. Behind the pendulum. Code is our old fishing spot. 17-23-45. Just then, Dr. R.S. Thorne, my cousin and Dad's attending physician, entered with a clipboard. "Mr. Thorne, we need to take your father for immediate surgery to repair his jaw. It's a complex fracture. He'll be in recovery for at least 8 hours. "Perfect," I murmured, more to myself than to him. 8 hours. Enough time to confirm the horrifying truth. "I'll be back, Dad," I vowed, squeezing his hand. "And I promise you, she'll pay for what she did." As I left the ER, I pulled out my phone, my fingers flying across the keypad. My contact list was a network built over years, and one name stood out: Sergeant Miller, retired homicide, now a private investigator, owed me a favor or two. "Miller, it's Ben. I need a ghost car and some discreet surveillance equipment, and a full background check, fast, on Eleanor Vance Thorne. Everything, debts, associates, history, now." "Ben? What in God's name is going on?" Miller's gruff voice cut through the line. "My father didn't fall, Miller. He was pushed by my stepmother, and he just told me." A beat of silence. "Copy that. My garage in 15. You sure about this?" "Never been sure." Miller handed me a small, unassuming bag, a prepaid burner phone, a compact audio recorder, and a discreet camera the size of a thumb. Eleanor's old life was pretty clean on paper. No arrests, worked as a real estate agent, But I've got a contact looking into some of her financial dealings from before she met your dad. Could be something there. Good. I need to get into the house undetected. Got a silent entry kit in the bag. You remember how to use it? Like riding a bike, Miller. My journalism degree might have been my official cover, but my father, a former intelligence officer, had ensured I had other, less conventional skills. The drive home took 12 minutes. Eleanor thought I was staying at the hospital. My company, Thorn Media Solutions, was a legitimate front, but my real work often involved digging into the darker corners of society. I parked 2 blocks away and approached the mansion through the overgrown hedge maze my mother had loved. Every light was off, a sinister darkness clinging to the grand old house. Through my night vision monocular, I could see a faint glow from the master bedroom suite. Eleanor. I moved silently, a ghost in the shadows, circling to the back entrance. The silent entry kit made short work of the old-fashioned lock. Inside, the house felt like a tomb. The air was heavy with the scent of lilies, Eleanor's favorite, and now sickeningly synonymous with death. I crept towards the master bedroom, my heart pounding a grim rhythm against my ribs. Through the slightly ajar door, I heard Eleanor's voice, hushed but clear. She was on the phone. It's done. The old man is off the board. He won't be changing any wills now. Her voice, usually so soft, was laced with a chilling, almost triumphant venom. Yes, the fall looked convincing. He hit his head hard on the last step. A masculine voice, gravelly and deep, came from the speaker. Good. You got the will, right? The original one. Of course. It's with the lawyer. I'm the sole beneficiary. Everything. My stomach churned. The cold fury that had settled over me solidified. This wasn't some abstract news story. This was my family. The woman who'd cried on my shoulder was a cold-blooded killer. When do I get my cut? Eleanor's greed was naked, raw. After the funeral, darling. Be patient. And remember, you owe me big for this. Those casino debts don't disappear themselves. Casino debts? That's what Miller's contact was looking for. A connection. I activated the audio recorder, pressed the tiny camera's button, and slipped closer. I'm tired of waiting, Julian. We're in this together now. You handle the will, I handle the inheritance. And make sure that private investigator who's been poking around my old accounts disappears. He's getting too close to the truth about Miami. Miami. Another piece of the puzzle. I'd heard enough. Time to shift from gathering intel to setting a trap. The next morning, I called Eleanor from a quiet cafe, forcing my voice to sound shaken, grief-stricken. Eleanor, it's Ben. I just can't believe it. Dad. Oh, Ben, she wailed, a perfectly modulated sob. It's just devastating. He was so healthy. Who would have thought a simple fall? Listen, I'm coming over now. I want to look through his study. Maybe he left some notes about his final wishes. A beat of hesitation. Oh, darling, I don't think that's a good idea. The police have sealed it off for their investigation. And you look so tired. Why don't you rest? We can go through everything later. No, Eleanor. I need to do this now. For him. For closure. My voice hardened imperceptibly. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The line went dead. I immediately called Miller. She knows or she suspects. She tried to stop me from going to the study. I need a full team. Surveillance on her and on a man named Julian. Find out everything about his connection to Miami. Copy that. I'll be there with my best men in 30. Stay safe, Ben.
Miller's intel came through within the hour. Julian Davies, a known fixer connected to underground gambling rings in Miami. Rumors of a dark past, including a few unexplained disappearances related to unpaid debts. He was staying at a discreet boutique hotel on the outskirts of town. "Ben, this guy is dangerous," Miller warned through the encrypted comms. "He doesn't leave loose ends." "Neither do I." I spent the afternoon setting up surveillance on Julian's hotel. Miller's men were ghosts, their equipment state-of-the-art. I watched as Julian met with two burly, unshaven men in a black sedan. They looked like enforcers, not negotiators. My phone buzzed. A text from Miller. "Julian just received a call. Looks like Eleanor is panicking. He's moving his timeline up. They're coming for you tonight, 9 p.m. "Perfect. Julian, you just sealed your own fate," I texted back. "Then I guess we're doing this the hard way." At 4 p.m., I drove to the mansion. The police tape was gone. Eleanor was nowhere to be seen. I found the grandfather clock in the foyer, an antique that had stood there since my childhood. With the code 172345, the small hidden compartment behind the pendulum clicked open. Inside, tucked away, was a crisp, legal-sized envelope. The new will. My father had been meticulously organized. It clearly stated Eleanor was disinherited, with the bulk of the estate going to charities and a small trust for my future. And, crucially, a clause. Should any party attempt to contest this will through unlawful means, their claim shall be null and void, and all evidence of such attempt shall be presented to the authorities. This was damning. Not just motive, but a preemptive strike from my brilliant, cautious father. I had enough evidence to put them away for life. But prison was too easy. They tried to kill my father and planned to murder me for money. Justice through the courts would take years, assuming it worked at all. Julian's connections could make evidence disappear, witnesses recant, juries sympathize with a desperate woman who made bad choices. I needed something more immediate, more personal, more permanent. Miller called at 5 p.m. "Ben, Julian's crew just left the hotel. 2 cars, headed your way. Looks like a professional hit." "Copy that. What about local PD response time to the mansion?" 8 minutes average. 6 if they're fast. Julian's planning a quick in and out. No witnesses." "Perfect. How's your crew schedule tonight?" "Wide open. What do you need?" 4 good men with long-range capabilities and 2 on close support. I'm about to give Julian Davis the worst night of his life.
At 6:30 p.m., I called Eleanor again. "Eleanor? I found something in Dad's study. I think you need to see it." A nervous laugh. "Oh, Ben, what could it be? I'm preparing for the funeral home today." "It's important. Meet me in the study at 8:30 tonight, alone." I let a hint of steel enter my voice. "Don't be late." She hung up, probably thinking she had me exactly where she wanted me, the lamb to the slaughter. In a way, she was right, but she didn't know which lamb. I parked 4 blocks away and made my way through the neighborhood on foot. Miller's team was already in position. 2 snipers covering the front and back approaches, 2 more providing close support. All former law enforcement, all understanding the unofficial rules of engagement when family is threatened by criminals. Through my scope, I watched Julian's crew arrive. 3 men, disciplined, moving with lethal intent. 2 entered through the back service entrance, while another positioned himself across the street as a lookout. Julian himself sat in his car half a block away, watching the house. The psychological warfare phase of my operation was about to begin. I called Julian's cell phone, a number Miller had provided. "Davis, this is Ben Thorne. I believe you have something that belongs to me." Silence. "Who is this? What are you talking about?" "The man you're trying to kill tonight. I'm calling to discuss terms." "There are no terms. You know too much." "Actually, Julian, you don't know nearly enough. For instance, Did you know I spent years cultivating contacts in every major city, including Miami? Did Eleanor mention that I have friends in the DA's office who would love to dig into those unexplained disappearances linked to your old gambling rings? More silence. You're bluffing. One man against my crew. Check your lookout across the street. Through my scope, I watched as Miller's sniper silently dispatched the lookout with the tranquilizer dart, then secured him, pulling him into the shadows. The entire operation took less than 20 seconds. What the hell? Julian's voice was a snarl. That was my spotter. My second sniper is currently drawing a bead on your head through your car window. Want to test whether I'm bluffing? Okay, let's talk. What do you want? First, call your men inside my house. Tell them to abort. Now. I can't. If they don't complete the job, my partners will come for me. This is too big. Your partners are your problem, not mine. Make the call. A moment later, I watched through night vision as the two men inside the mansion received Julian's call and reluctantly withdrew through the back entrance. Good. Now we're going to have a face-to-face conversation about respect. 10 minutes later, I entered Julian's hotel suite. Hands visible, but ready. Miller's team maintained overwatch from their positions. Julian Davies was exactly what I'd expected. A predator, trying to project power through expensive suits and a cold, calculating gaze. Two enforcers flanked him, both with their hands close to their holstered weapons. Ben Thorne, you've got nerve, I'll give you that. I've got the new will, and Dad's dying declaration on tape, and Eleanor's confession. There's a difference. I took a step closer, noting exit routes and cover positions. Julian owes Eleanor for her gambling debts. I'm prepared to settle them. All of them. Julian's smile was predatory. All of them? She owes me close to $500,000, plus my fee for the job, and the loose ends I have to tie up now that your father actually talked. $500,000 plus a quarter for your services, and your operations in Miami, consider them untouchable. In exchange, you and Eleanor disappear from my life forever. You leave town and you make sure no one ever comes looking for her or for me again. See, that's where you're wrong, Julian said, his eyes gleaming. You're dying tonight. Eleanor dies tomorrow, and I collect from the estate anyway. Clean slate. I nodded thoughtfully. Interesting proposal. Just one problem. What's that? You're assuming you'll survive the next 5 minutes. The enforcer on my left moved first, going for his pistol. I anticipated it. Years of self-defense training kicked in. A quick strike to his wrist sent the gun clattering across the floor. My elbow caught him in the jaw, dropping him unconscious. The second enforcer got his weapon halfway out before I closed the distance. A knee to the solar plexus doubled him over, and a precise strike to the back of his neck put him down. Julian's gun was already in his hand, but my concealed weapon was faster. Drop it. You're making a big mistake, Thorne. My partners will come for you. Your partners are about to have bigger problems than one dead associate. Miller, status report. Miller's voice came through my earpiece clearly. All targets secured. Local PD is still 6 minutes out. Julian's eyes widened as he realized the scope of the operation. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to write off Eleanor's debt. You're going to forget my family exists, and you're going to explain to your partners that you tried to kill an investigative journalist and failed. Let them decide if that reflects poorly on their organization. And if I refuse, then you become a cautionary tale about why civilians shouldn't threaten people who dig for the truth. Julian slowly lowered his weapon. Fine. Eleanor's debt is forgiven. We're done. Not quite. I pulled out the new will, and then my phone, playing the recording of Eleanor's confession. This is going to the DA tomorrow morning along with all the intel my team gathered today.
You've got 24 hours to liquidate your operation and leave town. If you're still here when the feds arrive, I'll make sure they know exactly where to find you." "You son of a—" 24 hours, Julian. Use them wisely." I backed towards the exit, weapons still ready. Julian's operation was finished, but the most dangerous part of my mission was just beginning. I still had to deal with my stepmother.